Pisces, there's a man, according to these cards here, that you are separated from that chose money or lifestyle over you. This is a wildly specific reading. Oh my goodness. By the way, if you notice, I'm using a different deck right now than I usually do. I'm using the Orion's Animal Tarot deck. The moon in the reversal. Oh my goodness. To show this depiction of a man who is interested, Three of Wands, in finance and enterprise. Two of Wands, who is dealing with the fact that their money may not have been the answer to the situation. On one side of the Two of Wands is the choice to go forward with the path that they wanted to go originally with finances. On the other path is actually sadness and suffering because they didn't take you on. And I know that because the Page of Cups is here, which is the card of messages and communication coming in about the Lover's card in the reversal, a separation, and the World card, an ending that occurred. Knight of Pentacles in the reversal, complete full stop of the relationship. Five of Cups in the reversal, the desire to go back over the bridge and return because Hanged Man, they have a new perspective. Like genuinely, if you have been confused, the Moon card in the reversal position, about this situation, my dears, wondering if this person was going to choose to come back to you, that is heavily on this person's mind. Think about the moon in terms of cycles. When you have the moon up, the sun is down. There's full darkness, confusion, moodiness. The sun goes down, or the moon goes down, so that the sun can come up and reveal things, so that the sun can show the path. Because the moon is in the reversal position, that tells me that this situation is going to be unfolding sooner than you think. I just gave you a crash course in these cards for a second here. Very quick, but very to the point interpretation. And because when we come to Linny D Tarot, we, when you watch my videos here, we like to get into the mythology of these cards. I want to talk to you about that now because the short version that I just described doesn't give justice to what these cards are talking about when you just put it like that. Like, yes, I expect communications coming in from somebody that you have ceased interacting with. The Lover's card is in the reversal. World card is about finishing things. Knight of Pentacles is about being stuck in a situation that wasn't able to progress. Five of Cups, again, someone is deeply sorrow-filled. And the Two of Cups is where we're going to start. Pardon me, Two of Wands is where we're going to start when we describe this choice that this person is making. Okay. So in the Rider-Waite-Smith traditional deck. Actually, you know what? I'm going to get it for you because I've got the deck right here because I've got like so many decks. It's obnoxious. But I love them. Every single one of them. And I'm going to pull out the Two of Wands. And I'm going to show you some of the interesting concepts that Arthur Edward Waite spoke of when he created this deck in 1909 or so. And he published with that deck a instruction booklet called The Pictorial Key to the Tarot. And in The Pictorial Key to the Tarot, when he talks about, and by the way, this deck, the Orion's Animal Tarot deck, is based off of that Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which is why I'm bringing it up. When he discusses the Two of Wands, people often call it the card of the crossroads, but it's a very specific kind of crossroads. And as soon as I can find this darn card here in my deck, I will show you. Right here. Beautiful. Very specific kind of crossroads. I want you to look closely, my dears. Look and see my prediction. What do you see is happening? Okay. On one side of these sticks, we have a different scene than what is over here. Over here we have, looking very closely, growth, greenery, path to that greenery, buildings that are built, right? On the other side, we have mountains, we have emotions, we have desert. So what it is essentially is this card shows us this is why the Three of Wands actually comes right after, because the Two of Wands is not just the crossroads between two people. It's the crossroads between the choice between the material world of finances and suffering. The Three of Wands traditionally is called the card of the little merchant for this reason. That's why I can tell when I've got both of these cards in this reading, I'm like, somebody was deciding over money. But they didn't realize that the choice they made is actually going to lead them to more suffering. Because in the end, they could have more bountiful abundance if they had chose to be directed from the heart center instead of avarice and just about money and, positions of power, positions of status. This is a really unique reading when you interpret it that way, right? Like even this kind of indication of the old crest of like the roses of Tudors and the medieval times and things like that. These were very affluent families. That's why this man can hold the whole world in his hand. When he holds the whole world, he's not holding the whole world of love. He's holding the world, the manifested capabilities of the entire world, which includes the idea of how we handle that path that we just saw, those houses that we're building, the trees that we're cutting down, the gold that we're finding, right? All of that material affluence comes into that card. And that's why more than people realize, the Wands is connected to the Pentacles in a certain way. Because Pentacles always gets the rep of the three-dimensional world, right? It's always like, oh, it's the cards of money because it's got coins on it. How do you think you get the coins? How do you think you manifest things, right, in the material world? Through the willpower of the Suit of Wands. So a person here with the Two of Wands had to make that decision. And the Three of Wands, to some degree, they do have the aspect of obtaining the money they seek. The issue here lays in these two. The question is, if this person has made the decision towards money and they've got their little merchant life, maybe they have a job that they're really focused on, maybe they have a career or education that they're really focused on, they have that status that they want, why are they so sad about these two then? Why do they feel the need to communicate something emotionally? And why is the Five of Cups here, which traditionally, as we know, is a card of loss? That makes me want to show you the beautiful depiction now of the Five of Cups. But now, again, I have to sift through those cards that I just freaking went through to find the Two of Wands. Because if we take the same little journey there of really interpreting the symbols of the Two of Wands and we apply that to the Five of Cups, watch what happens. Look at all of this. Don't just look at the cups, Look at all of it. What do you see in the background? The background is the bridge of how to successfully get to the goal. So this person can stay suffering, or instead of just sitting there looking at what's lost, they can take what they have, and they take what they have and they go and they build it towards the growth. They walk over the bridge. It's the expression kind of with the Five of Cups here of, is the bridge really truly burnt? Did someone burn a bridge, or is it still viable for someone to walk over it? That's what this person is considering here. Also, Knight of Pentacles may have been a little bit of a hiccup in their financial situation. Yes, Three of Wands is here, which is the card as a little merchant, right? Grabbing what they can and trying to build their life. But the Knight of Pentacles is the card of truly building and plowing the fields of their life and taking their willpower with the Suit of Wands and turning it into abundance with the Suit of Pentacles. But he does it on a long-term basis with the Knight of Pentacles, very slowly. And when it's in the reversal, it becomes the card of the stumbling block. There is something that has stumbled him. But it is sitting underneath the area dedicated to this love energy. Hanged Man, new perspective about love and how things ended, and perhaps the stumbling block that they put in place because of the decision that they made. Oh my goodness, what a fantastic reading. And again, the juicy depth of it that I love doing when I get to do readings with you guys here on YouTube. Or when we do private readings even over on my TikTok. Or not private, the other free readings that I do. Oh, but yeah, of course, when I do private readings for people, if you ever want one, this is what we do, man. We just get into the juiciness of these cards in ways that people always miss. Like, I bet you didn't know. Well, most of you know the Page of Cups is the card of communication and messages, right? Because it's the picture of the page. The pages act like the little messenger boys in Middle Ages, medieval history. But I bet you wouldn't know that in 1910, when Arthur Edward Waite described in his book published, The Pictorial Key to the Tarot, he said the Five of Cups, when it is in the reversal, is the card of news and messages. That is the exact same words for both of these cards. If you go to the Pictorial Key to the Tarot and you type in, or you look up Page of Cups reverse or upright, it's going to say news and messages. And if you say Five of Cups reversal, it's going to say news and messages. So you have some messages of communication coming in, and that's what brings us to the dynamics of the Lover's card in the reversal. Because this is a fascinating energy. Because the Lover's card is not always just about love. I know it's called the Lovers, but it's ingrained in the stories of Adam and Eve from Arthur Edward Waite's perspective, not biblically perspective. A lot of people think Arthur Edward Waite is just diagramming out a story of Christianity or stories of Kabbalah even when it comes to his deck, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. But let me show you the Pictorial Key to the Tarot. I love this. I love when we do this. Oh no, I'm breaking out the accents again, you guys. Look it again. Please, 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 please read the first chapter. It's the best thing to ever understand. Arthur Edward Waite, in his own words, the deception and self-deception regarding their origin, by there he's talking the tarot cards, the origin of tarot cards in Egypt, India, or China puts a lying spirit into the mouths of the first expositors of tarot. He believes these cards did not come from Egypt. They did not come from India. They did not come from China. He says a little bit down here. It keeps going. Yeah, we see. He keeps going. One brilliant opportunity has at least been missed. For it has not so far occurred to anyone that the tarot might perhaps have done duty and even originated, right? Origin. We're back down here. Originated as a secret symbolical language of the Albigensian sect. I know it looks in this chapter that he says, oh, I commend this idea. And then maybe he just leaves it at that. But nope. The next page, he goes on to talk about it. And then further on, when he describes the cards, actually when he goes on to talk about it, about how he says the High Priestess is represented like this. And he talks about the Pope or the Hierophant card is like this, connected to the Albigensians. If he just left it at that, then tell me why, once you get into the actual instructions of the Hierophant card, he brings up Adam and Eve in the paradise, right? And the ideas that he just spoke about with the High Priestess. It's wild that he describes this entire thing as per the understanding of the Albigensians. And the same is for the idea of the Lover's card. So is the Lover's card just about love? Now that I've showed you some cool little areas of how Arthur Edward Waite made his deck, is it just about love? What happened, like, to understand the Lover's card through the lens of the Albigensians, you have to know about the story of the Albigensians. And if you want to understand why Arthur Edward Waite found it useful to include the Albigensians' view of things into his book, let me explain to you what their view is. We're getting into a history lesson, yeah? Okay, let's get into a history lesson, guys. So, the Albigensians are a group of people from the 1200s. I say this a lot in many different readings of mine. These people were against the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church crusaded against them and slaughtered these people because the Catholic Church believed in the God of the Old Testament, and the Albigensians did not. Not only did they not believe the God of the Old Testament, but they believed he was causing the suffering in the world. This is why the Catholic Church was like, holy shoot, we got to get rid of these people, right? And they crusaded against them. Like, I'm talking, I've said it many times in this exact way, 20,000 people decimated just in one district alone when it came to these crusades, specifically in the Albigensian Crusade in 1200-ish AD. It's like 1205 or something to that effect. These people, when they thought that the God of the Old Testament was causing the suffering of the world, that includes the fact that they believed Adam and Eve were not just trapped, or were not just like exiled out of a garden. They believed that that particular garden was being ruled by this idea of the God of the Old Testament. It was suffering and ignorance. In fact, their traditions, these Albigensians, came from another group of people hundreds of years before them who were called the Manichaeans, also connected to Bogomils. These are different groups of people. Bogomils, as an example, is a more medieval form of Christianity that existed in the Balkan area. It's like Croatia area, Bosnia, Serbia, Macedonian areas. These kind of areas, they had different traditions of Christianity back then. And a lot of the times they believed that the idea of the lover's card, not the lover's card, but the idea of the Adam and Eve garden story was that humanity was ignorant and blinded. And the job of humanity was to get the hell out of that garden so they could get to the better garden, which was the garden of actual paradise. So the lover's card in the Albigensian lens is the view of humanity being ignorant. They cannot see the truth, especially when they're in the reversal position. That tells us through the lens of your reading, when we take it from the macrocosm story that we just had of history, and we bring it down to your little microcosm view of your own little life. This is a person who was blinded and ignorant to the situation of how they perceived the world and finances and status around them. But the Hanged Man card, which is the card of dying metaphorically to an illusion, is now in the reversal. They have seen a new perspective and are waking up from the truth. The word ignorance to these people, now we can take the Albigensians and look at how they came from the Manichaeans. Well, the Manichaeans came from the Gnostics like the Valentinians and the Sethians. Those are the people who walked in the days of Jesus and the apostles. Like, we're talking 2,000 years back. When they said the word ignorant, they meant you were asleep in your life. You were walking on autopilot, right? You just basically fed yourself and tried to survive in fight, flight, and freeze mode all the time. You had absolutely no awareness of a spiritual connection until you did, until you got out of ignorance and woke up to the real world. By the way, if anybody hasn't already, click to subscribe my stuttering ass here because this is what we do. And this person was asleep to it. This person was absolutely consumed with their own autopilot and way of living. And now, for some reason, something has shook them up to realize that they do want this aspect, the Page of Cups, of some kind of communication walking over a bridge with you. I want to know what happened. Let me shuffle a little bit more, shall we? How the heck did this person come to this realization? I'm assuming it's through some kind of self-imposed suffering that they've been going through. Let's see what's up. The Queen of Swords. Oh, they took a loss. Oh, wait a minute. You know, the Queen of Swords is connected to loss of children and family sometimes, but the loss of something like they want to have a family, but they don't. Or when they had like parents and like, or some kind of situation that felt like it's very sorrow filled. Like the Queen of Swords, according to Arthur Edward Waite, again in the Pictorial Key to the Tarot right here. If I was to open this book right now, that's the card of like the widow. I think this person might not, if they lost a person in the past, it might have impacted them. Doesn't have to be children or parents, but like a deep loss of someone. Could be their view of like a deep loss of you. But it could also be the way it happens is when people get older, they become fearful that they're going to be alone, and they fear the loss of partnership. People don't typically want to grow up and be a widow, and they also don't want to grow up and be just alone, you know. Like what would you call it? Like a crone. I mean, the crone obviously has some good aspects to it. If you know the tales of the old woman growing up by themselves, like to become the old crone of wisdom. But also, there's always a few different angles to a person's life, and if you're on your own, then you're on your own. It doesn't necessarily feel the most warm and cuddly. Two of Pentacles is here. That's interesting. Oh. Wow. You know what? Two of Pentacles is a lot about recognition. I think this person wants to be seen for who they are, and they know that that can only come with compassion and companionship. Because money will never look back at you. Money can't look back at you. You can get all the status in the world. That status is never going to hug you. That BMW is not going to grip you and say, I love you for who you are. In order to be recognized for your successes and your companionship, you have to have someone to reflect that back to you. This is deep, man. Oh, this person's going through such a wild transformation. Holy mackerel. And so it is the experience of being on their own and loneliness. I think this person is lonely, and they're not just lonely for the sake of like, oh, I've just been alone today, but like the deepness and actual repercussion of what loneliness brings in the long term, the loss in the long term, the knowingness like that you might not have a family, you might not have someone to recognize you for who you are. Status and diamonds and all of the money in the world, if you're sitting amongst it alone, it doesn't do much, right? It's just it's grab at a temporary high in life, but you got to grab that temporary high in life over and over and over again. There's no stability in it. It's not long term, right? People want to make money into a long-term thing, but the truest dynamic in life is that everything changes. So you might as well, like the one thing in life that is always going to change is change itself. Might as well try and roll with it the best you can and have someone by your side along with the ride. All right, I'm going to leave it off with that right there. That was deep, deep as hell. If you tolerated this reading and enjoyed it, please click the subscribe button or the like button. And if you want to just chat with me about this kind of stuff, because I post this kind of stuff all the time on my Facebook, feel free to do that. Or my Instagram. And yeah, that's everything. Private readings are in the description below or at the link in the bio. And I'm out of here. I'm going to go do some Mercury retrograde readings because we're in the thick of retrograde right now, guys. So I'm going to start doing those next. Thank you very much. Many blessings to you, and ciao for now.